Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Game Over episode. This is for a Game Over for Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And what a game did we have. Now this game, or this segment is brought to you by Sports Interaction. Get in on Stanley Cup Finals action. Lightning versus Avalanche at Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook. Bet before the game starts, live and play, or one of our many prop bets. Doing it right since 1997. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 and older, and please play responsibly. Now, this game was a fun one, but as always, I'm here with my constant co-host Armaan, and for the first time, Andrew's here. Andrew, welcome. I mean, you probably
for the first time with us.
I know, exactly. I'm like, welcome to our humble abode, but realistically, Andrew's been doing this for way longer than us.
Do you know how many you've done, Andrew?
No, because I don't know how many Julian covered this year. I think it was like 4. So that would put me at 78. Plus, I did
oh my
2
God.
Game Over International as well, though.
I did 3 World Juniors ones in like 2 games, and then the tournament getting canceled recap. Then I did, I think, 12 for the Olympics, maybe even 14, and then I've been doing these ones as well. And I've had to host the Calgary ones because Peter and Auddie's computers can't keep up with the stream. They keep on one of them will, whoever's not hosting, they'll freeze on the Zoom chat.
It's that Calgary internet.
Yeah, it's that Calgary internet. I tell you, Alberta in more ways than one is behind the times. But yeah, I've done a lot. That's for sure. It's been a busy year, but I'm glad that we get to do another one. Honestly, I wanted it to end tonight because I wanted Arturi Lehkonen to score on Saint Jean again. So to all the Quebecers watching, happy or Bon Saint Jean. It's the Fête Nationale today. We were out earlier today celebrating on the canal, so that was fun. But was not to be because let's face it, this game has the same vibes as the Leafs series, does it not?
It feels scripted.
Yeah,
it does.
The last 2 minute too many men call. Oh my God.
Well, I mean,
especially off of John Cooper's
the Lightning spent
before. Oh man,
the Lightning spent all of Game 4 working the refs after every whistle, yapping in their ears. John Cooper's crying bloody murder after the last game, and what happens this game? They get all the calls.
You could tell he was a lawyer.
Oh,
yes. With the way he speaks, it's so calculated.
John Cooper was a lawyer before
he used to be a lawyer.
Oh crap! Okay,
I think he was a prosecutor.
Yeah, and you can just tell he knows how to work. He knows how to work a room. But yeah, it was just so ironic how they got that too many men at the very end. Just completely negating any chance to come back. Oh,
I feel like the biggest one was Cale Makar bursting through 2 defensemen, and they both hooked him.
Yeah, and nothing. Just
come on.
He makes an amazing play to split the D, and both of them committed an infraction, and they don't get called. That's playoff hockey for you right there. Well, Tampa at least.
Hey, another thing I want to.
But I don't want to sound too salty as a Leafs.
The reason why I wanted the Avs, other than Calgary, obviously, and the whole the good stories and whatnot, to prove Armaan that elevation is a factor. I'm telling you,
Cooper also said that, and everyone clowned him too because it's a stupid ass excuse.
No, it's not an excuse. Okay, Andrew, did you see my stats I pulled up last time about?
They were so stupid.
Are you talking about elevating the puck, or are you talking about elevating?
He's talking about the altitude in Colorado.
Oh,
stupid ass excuse.
All right, Andrew, let me give you the details. Okay,
it's real.
It's real, but it's not that big a deal.
No,
it's not the be all end all.
Yeah, if you're using it as an excuse as a coach,
as a coach, but I can meme it because I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah, but Cooper said, at least Chris Johnston reported, that he believes the altitude played a factor in Tampa's performance in games 1 and 2. Except literally like 5 days before that, before the series started, he said if there's one team that doesn't hand out excuses, it's us. So that's just funny, you know.
He's a lawyer.
Excuses for that, the too many men on the ice.
I love Cooper as a coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach. But every time he goes to the media after our series with them, oh my god, he does the most infuriating thing.
He does this thing where he just acts like extremely petty and whiny, and then the next day he comes out and he's all magnanimous and he's like, oh, like the same thing with the.
He literally did that,
right? Yeah, he did that. He came out and he's like, you know, it's just emotional after the game, and the fact, like, he's right? Yeah, you can understand that. You are emotional after the game, right after you see the play and you think it shouldn't have been a goal. You go out there, you talk to the media, you're mad. It's the Stanley Cup final. You want to win, but then. How many times has he done that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and like the Lightning last year, right, when they did their when they won the cup, they were like all super cocky about it, and like Nikita Kucherov talking about like #1 bullshit and all this, and like making T-shirts with the like over the cap by whatever, and John Cooper's just like, oh, I just respect everyone so much. Shut up. No, you don't.
Yeah, honestly.
Listen, maybe it gets him wins. A tactic. Yeah, he just wants to get. Yeah. And like it could just be for the players as well, just to like instead of putting the focus on them, just like say these stuff so that like people aren't focusing on the like up.
Yeah, no one whatnot, right? Like no one took a player quote after he talked about how that last goal shouldn't have counted in game.
Just take it for the team.
It is true. The only player quote I saw was Kadri, right? He was like, did it hit the net? Yeah. It was in the net. Like, I love that baller.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This was but what you guys think of all these weird calls? Like the ref, and like we've talked about it, it's been really weird the entire series, but the only consistency has been that it is inconsistent, right? I don't know. It's at this point you kind of have to come to expect it, and you kind of just have to find ways to get around it and just.
It's weird though, because some of them were like, you know, when we talk about playoff hockey, most of the time you refer to playoff hockey as this like tough, gritty thing. There were some ticky-tacky bullshit calls. Like JT Compher's second penalty was stupid. I 100% agree about that.
Where he chicken winged it.
Yeah, but like that happens so often.
And
it's just like barely called sometimes it's called a lot. But it's like, I don't know, we can talk about reffing all the time. It's going to be a conversation in every game. It's just never going to change.
Yeah, I think that's what drives the players the most insane, right? Is you can have a guy brain someone and they're like, keep your head up. But like the puck was 50 feet away. And then you have like a tiny little like stick lift that touches a glove and they're like, oh, well, 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really stupid. I feel like there needs to be some sort of rubric.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they had like an scorecard, I know it's not possible with the NHL because the MLB, you can actually automate that. But if they had some level of reporting like the NBA does with their refs in their post-game reports, but there's nothing. We don't get any sort of, discourse.
Do you think that would be worse though? Because like it could just also be the situation where like the FIA with Formula One last year, right? When you have too much transparency, people just come at you for
but the FIA in Formula One also messed up like pretty drastically.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? That's good. That's holding them accountable. And then the race director got canned. Like that is what should happen when you see something messed up. It shouldn't just, you don't just like say, oh, like the droids aren't here using the force. Like it doesn't make sense. Just give us something. But
it's worse than that. If you ask a question about the refs, they fine you.
Yeah, exactly. They fine you $25,000. It's not even. It's so stupid. I hate it.
It's really hard to get around with the NHL. Like they want to be viewed as like an unquestionable authority, and yet they're so inconsistent and stupid. Like so often, it just doesn't make sense. Like. I don't know if you guys saw before the playoffs, but Dave Jackson, who's a former ref, went on like a bit of a Twitter rant because people were talking about how like, less is called in the playoffs. And he was like, actually, if you look at the stats, there's more penalties in the playoffs than the regular season. And I had to just like control myself to be like, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And he was like, because, we call it tighter because there's actually fewer infractions in the playoffs because players don't want to take penalties. Come on, Dave. Come on. These guys are going out there and they are cheating their asses off.
Yeah,
There's
every
10
shift.
times more infractions in the playoffs.
Every shift you see something. Every shift. Like there's a what's it called? Interference that was so blatant, where the guy just dumps it in and then he just doesn't have a lane because there's 2 Tampa players blocking him and they check him, and it's just like it happens so often that it's like, as a hockey fan, you're used to it, so you don't expect penalties there, but realistically there should be one. But
yeah, it should be interference.
It's just normalcy now that we have this kind of situation. It is what it is. Like I'm done complaining about refs now. Like it's just every game.
Got that out of the way.
Yeah. Now we should probably focus. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you can tell just based on like the numbers of people that like when Tampa wins, it's like there's like a lot of Leafs fans who are not feeling it right now. Probably Canadians fans too. They don't want to see Tampa win.
Yeah,
but
no
the Avalanche win. It's like whoop.
The Avs. I don't know a single person that wants Tampa to win right now out of like my friend group. Everyone just wants the Avs to win.
But because like most of our friend group is all Leafs fans, right? And we just want Calgary to succeed no matter what.
Yeah, I get that.
But,
I feel like the only people that I know who want Tampa to win are the people who just want to see like greatness rewarded in the NHL and see like the NHL have like the Warriors kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the NHL is so much more obsessed with parity that I feel like already after 2 cups, the Lightning are
everyone's
already
tired
the
of it.
Warriors, if you know what I mean. And everyone's like, I'm done. We're bored with you now.
Yeah.
Next team.
Yeah, I agree. And the Avs deserve it, man. They're so good.
Hey, but we can't like look away from Tampa, right? Like these guys are the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, and they won it for a reason, right? And even this game, like they showed a lot of grit and determination, and that was the main reason why they pulled through at the end, right?
Yeah.
Both these teams are so evenly matched, though. We talk about this all the time. Like, in my opinion, Colorado by far is the better offensive team, and defensively, just talking about pure lockdown defense, I feel like Tampa has the edge over Colorado in that sense. But goaltending is the biggest differentiating factor, right? And you kind of saw with Vazzy getting a few great steals this game. The past, like this entire series, he's been playing really well, and Kemper has been let in. Sorry.
Other than game two.
Forget about game 2 ever happened. But Kemper has been a little shaky, and he got beat today a few times where he should have probably gotten a save. It would have been nice to see at least one or two stops, and that could have been the game. That could have been the series, and we could be talking about the Avalanche as the Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah. It seems like at least once a game. Right, like the Rutta goal, the first one Tampa scored was not good. It was not a Stanley Cup final level goal.
Yeah,
he can't allow that. And last game he had one too. I forget which one it was, but there was one where I was like, really, and I thought he was fantastic overall last game. His best game since like the first round.
Yeah,
and
in game 3 he had a couple that I didn't like from him.
Yeah, game 3 he was not good at all. Like,
he got pulled.
And game 2 he wasn't challenged at all. Game 1 another couple that he was the reason that game went to overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like the Avalanche have to beat the Lightning and their goal.
Their own team.
But not to put it all on Kemper. I feel like he's been better the last couple games, but you gotta stop the muffins from going in.
Yeah, that Rutta goal is not like, that's not acceptable in a cup final game. Like if that was a game 7, I think people would be calling for like his head at this point. You know what I mean? Like that, it reminds me of so many soft game 7 goals like we've allowed in the past.
Like the Gallagher goal last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just brutal.
Way to twist that knife.
It just like
reminds bring it up every couple times.
So many flashbacks. But yeah, it's just like, you can't have that. And he's under 900 this playoffs. And when you got
8.9,
8.98, and it went down today, I think.
Well, probably even lower. Yeah.
But yeah, when you got Francouz has been doing pretty well. Like, I'm surprised that they haven't considered it.
I don't think it's too late at this point. I
know it's too late now, and I know it's too risky, but it's like, I don't know. Like I haven't been impressed with Kemper.
There's no right option in this situation, right? Like it just.
I mean, there is a right option. The better goalie.
Okay, but who's the better goalie? Like you have so little games on hand now. The next game, Tampa, I feel like Tampa has the momentum going forward, and I feel like Tampa
and it's a home game
are favored. Exactly, they're playing in Tampa. They're probably favored to win that game. And then
Yeah,
if
this is
you're
where
on
it
a
becomes
2-game
mind
losing
games.
streak,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
If
That's
they
a
go
huge
to
thing.
if they go to Francouz now, they're done. Like Tampa Bay has everything they need to
Yeah, that's
continue
true.
going,
They don't have the
right?
confidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just imagine Kemper's like mentality. Let's say if Francis just has a complete crap game, right? Putting Kemper in afterwards, you're like, oh, we really
you kind of
didn't
screw
want
him
you guys
over
there,
too.
but we have to put you in now.
Yeah,
right?
it's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of faith in Kemper. Like, I think
No.
he's the reason that they've lost both games, and then he's the reason that like two of them, or sorry, not lost both. Yeah, he's the reason they lost both games, and he's the reason game 1 went to overtime.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, he just didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he hasn't really wowed me. I thought he was really good in game 4, but that's his only game this series where I thought he was a difference maker.
Yeah.
And Vasilevsky after game 2, I guess, he's just been phenomenal.
Right? Exactly. And the other issue is like in the past, 3 series for Colorado, he hasn't been tested either.
No,
like he's never really been tested this playoffs. Colorado has steamrolled their first 3 rounds. They lost twice in 3 rounds, and now they're kind of up against it. And it's like, do you trust Kemper as a Colorado fan? Because he hasn't been with the organization long. This is his first year. You know what I mean? Like they kind of had to scramble to get him because Grubauer unexpectedly left. So I don't think it's their goalie of choice either. Like heading into the season, I don't think they really expected to be in this position to begin with. And he's a good goalie, but it's just like this playoff specifically, like this series especially, it's I don't know. If they do end up messing up and losing this series and blowing a 3-1 lead, I think it'll be largely because of him. And that's just, I don't know. I feel bad saying that.
It sucks to put that on one guy, but it happens with goalies, right? And Kemper has such a great history in the regular season. Like he was such an underrated, excellent goaltender for a long stretch now, even like going back to, I think he was with Minnesota to start.
Yeah, he was with Minnesota before,
So he's been a good goalie. We know he's a good goalie, but that eye injury back in like the beginning of the playoffs has got to be, he can't be fully healed.
Yeah, it might not even be his fault. Like, he's had a lot of injuries in the past.
Tracking pucks, it seems like it's an issue, right? Like his eye might be healed, but it might be one of those things where like the muscles around the eye are like a little bit slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it could just be something tiny that's throwing him off, and it's the Stanley Cup final, and everything looms so large.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but I think they got to stick with him just because the mental aspect of it, right? And for what it's worth with Kemper, he is giving up like a muffin every game, but after the first 4 games, I don't remember. Which was the one that Tampa won the first one? Game 3?
That was game 3.
Yeah, okay. After the first 3 games, Kemper's high danger save percentage in this series was like 45%.
Wow.
I didn't
know that.
Yeah, now it's up to like mid 80s.
Okay.
So like in terms of
regression
stopping
to the mean.
dangerous shots, he's actually doing way better.
Yeah. And like letting in 3 goals isn't that bad for a goaltender. Like it's every other game you're probably going to do something like that. No goaltender has a sub 2 goals against average. Yeah. But at the same time, when you get like, I don't know how many shots they ended up with Colorado, but like it was like 40-28 or something like that. You kind of expect the win. And I thought Colorado did dominate for large portions of that game. And, to come out with a loss, especially with that first Ruda goal, that's the only one that kind of bothered me here. But it's kind of brutal. It's just brutal.
It's also not his fault that he's playing against Vazzy, right? We were talking about a goaltender that's been like Vazzy caliber. Exactly. He's been.
But you can
amazing.
only face the team in front of you, and that's the team in front of you. You have to be the better. Like you have to be at least equal to the goaltender.
But just keep in mind, like there was a good stat that Sportsnet pulled up right initially at the beginning of the game where Vazzy is 19-2 at this point. It's 20-2 actually, and after a loss in the playoffs since 2020, right? And both of those losses are this year, right? So he's been put through the ringer and he's excelled and performed, right? And that's just kind of what we come to expect out of Vazzy. But we got to sing his praises. Like he's performing well. And when it comes to 2 evenly matched teams, any slight difference is going to be, it could be it, right? That could finish the game up, and that could be the series in hand. So we gotta look to it, and it has to be something to think about. Another person that I did want to bring up was or I wanted to get your opinions on, was MacKinnon. MacKinnon, obviously the last game he actually broke through and got his first goal of this series in particular, but
I don't think he got one today.
No, he didn't. Yeah. And in my opinion, he's kind of been a little invisible. Like he's setting up plays. He's doing well in terms of playmaking, but when you have your star player, you need your star player to perform, and you need him to be getting goals and be a differentiating factor. He can't just be an above average player, right?
Well, I don't know. I think he played very well today for the most part. I thought he created a lot of chances. I do think he's had trouble finishing this series, but it's one series, and it's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, it's the most important series, right? Everything
agree.
is blank, right? There's a blank slate. We're talking about the finals now. Everything, it doesn't matter what happened before the past series. This is what matters.
Yeah.
And he has to perform.
Right? Yeah. Having 1 goal in 5 games isn't ideal.
No, definitely not the way he wants to be playing. I think that's for sure. Although, like the last 3 games here, he's got 20 shots on goal.
Yeah, exactly. He's firing like everything.
He's trying to get stuff through. And
he's
I feel
really
like if you look at how this series is broken down and like how the chances are going, and the last couple of games, Tampa Bay has been doing a much better job at the net front, both in their own end and at the Colorado end. But in terms of rush chances, it's like heavily skewed, like double towards the Avalanche. And that comes down, I think, to MacKinnon and Makar. And
the speed.
Yes. And I think that we can't ignore, why is Val Nichushkin always open? And it's because they're looking at MacKinnon, right? Yeah. And it's kind of, not to twist the knife more for you guys, but it reminds me of last year in the first round, Montreal and Toronto, and Montreal basically in the defensive zone was double teaming Matthews at all times. It was Deneau and someone else always on Matthews, so he was never open, and it was up to Mitch Marner to find space and get shots through, get something happening, right? And he couldn't do it. This year we saw him find that level in the playoffs. Last year he couldn't find it. Nichushkin is doing that for MacKinnon, even though MacKinnon isn't getting his best chances. He's not filling the net. He's finding Nichushkin over and over and over again. So there's that aspect to it too, that even though MacKinnon isn't necessarily scoring, he is playing that decoy role that a lot of great players do play in high intensity situations like this, where like everything is clamped down around them.
Yeah, it's a really good point. He's taking up most of Tampa's energy in terms of defending. And Nichushkin, if there was a finals MVP and the Avs end up winning, like he'd be a strong contender, like straight up. Like 4 goals in 5 games. He nearly got his 5th. He was like a millimeter off from just touching that. But he's been insane. And his finishing ability this series has been phenomenal.
Yeah. It's between him and Makar, right?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
If the series ends tonight, I think Makar definitely wins the Conn Smythe just based on
100%.
The history of what he's done in these playoffs. But if Makar did not exist, it would probably be Nichushkin. And he's been a runaway freight train.
Yeah, especially this finals, man. He's been really good. And it's gonna be interesting to see what he gets, because him and Kadri both need to be re-signed. I'm very curious what the Avs do.
Yeah. Well, the Avs are in a tough situation right now because the majority of the team, more than half of their team, are going to be UFAs at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, a ton of them are depth players.
Exactly. But still, like it's going to take some time to retool, and Sakic has to work his magic in the offseason to try to build a team back. Like, we're not saying that the series is completely over, but this is their window, right? They have to be able to win this year. Otherwise, it's going to require a lot of work in the head management office to try to build another contending team around these guys, right?
Well, I mean, for sure. But if there's anyone that I think deserves no criticism right now, it's pretty much Sakic.
Yeah,
I don't know how he doesn't have a GM of the year yet.
Well, that's like, the thing, right? He's nominated this year, but I look at it as like, if Julian Brisebois doesn't win this year, what are we doing? He's won back-to-back cups and is back in the final this
year. Yeah, it's kind of insane. Like, especially with how he's had to maneuver losing literally his entire third line, and like they all got like $6 million contracts.
Managing the cap day by day.
They've also had some fun with the LTIR. So
yeah.
100%. He finds a loophole.
Yeah,
I do want to shout out the chat a little bit because we had a couple of good questions in here. A couple of people asking about my eye. I told the boys before the show last time what happened, but basically last week I had like a vicious bout of strep, but before we knew it was strep, I had to do a COVID test. And when you do a home COVID test, the rapid test, you're supposed to swab your throat and then your nose. But when I did the throat, it was so inflamed that my whole body was just like, we're not doing that. But I hadn't eaten in like 24 hours, so I just dry heaved into the sink for 5 minutes and blue blood vessels in my eyes. So I'm channeling Jeff Petrie.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, you look exactly like Petrie when he had his eye thing.
Yeah, so it's going away actually now. It's fading a bit. It used to be like bright red, so it's going away. And also somebody was talking about Corey Perry. I do want to say Corey Perry.
I feel so bad for him.
Third final in a row. His team's on the ropes.
Poor guy.
2 assists tonight. Like,
he's gunning for it.
I know everybody
even
hates
game
Corey
3 he got a huge goal as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I know everybody hates Corey Perry for a good reason, right?
Saint Corey.
He's a snake out there. He elbows people. He's dirty. He's sneaky. He has dived at times. But watching him up close last year, I have so much respect for him for what he's willing to do to get the puck across the line.
Yeah.
Like, just skating face first into elbows. Like, I just think he's such a warrior. And I had no hesitation whatsoever that he was going to be a huge player for the Lightning tonight, and he proved me right.
Yeah, no one should ever question Perry's drive ever. Like, he's just been an absolute star his entire career, and he's managed to like very gracefully age into an incredible depth player. So yeah, he's a very important piece to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and if he loses again, it'll be pretty funny, but also sad, But
I think most people will love it.
I'll love it. I don't care. I'll love it for sure. But it's going to be pretty sad if he loses twice to the Lightning, then goes to the Lightning and then loses again in the finals.
It reminds me of like, remember DeMarcus Cousins from the NBA? He keeps chasing these, the past teams that have won the chip the year before. He keeps signing with those teams and they keep underperforming and not winning again. So
sometimes it goes like that.
Yeah. But yeah, Perry's one of those players. It's like, he kind of reminds me of like Marchand, where you hate him if you're playing against him, but if he's on your team, you love seeing it because it's just so fun to see that, like, him get under the other opposition skin. But it's gonna feel real bad for him if he doesn't win, especially coming back. Like you said, he played off against Tampa 2 times in a row and then joins and loses. That's gonna suck. That's gonna feel really bad for him.
Yeah.
100%. There's a quote here coming out from the post-game stuff from Gabriel Landeskog on the officiating. He says, "I'm not going to get into that. That's something they can continue to do, but we're not doing that." Oh, the pettiness is coming out.
I love comments about officiating because everyone just tiptoes around it because they don't want to get fined, but they still want to make a comment. Oh, that's hilarious.
I love that he's putting it on the Lightning because he's 100% right.
Yeah, he is. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says, "Perry, please don't out Hossa." Oh, he's gonna out Hossa. It's gonna happen. And we got another comment saying that McKinnon should not be a decoy; he should be a finisher. Like, yes, in an ideal world, I agree. But the reality of the playoffs is that your top offensive producers are often taken away, right? Like, when you're in a 7-game series, you have so much more ability to game plan to counter a specific threat. There's a reason why Austin Matthews doesn't score at a 60-goal pace in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not possible to do that for most players. Like, that's why Connor McDavid doing what he did this year is, like, everyone thinks he's a mutant or a robot or something. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But you do expect, like, at least from my perspective, if, the Avs have a home game, I would expect Bednar to probably play the matchups a little better to get him away from, their shutdown line with Hedman and Cirelli and those guys. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's obviously producing shots. He's obviously producing chances. He had a few this game. He had quite a few last game and the game before that. It's just not going in for him, and it's going to happen. But, it might be a mental thing. It might just be luck. I think he'll eventually break through, though. Like, I think he's too good of a player, and I think he's still at least contributing offensively by, setting up Nichushkin, who pretty much gets all of their goals on that line.
Do you think he's kind of like over chasing though, where since he's taking the crazy amount of shots that he is, right? Would it be better suited for him to pass and I guess like look for another guy open, or do you think it's justifiable that he's taking these absorbent amount of shots?
Well, I think his line is
one, right? He's still Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And his line is still producing, and also like we're kind of talking like the Avs are down in the series, and they're not. They just lost the game, like they're still winning 3-2, and they have two chances, coming up where they can win the cup,
I think it's McKinnon, the respect that we all have for the Lightning, right? Because we're like, don't let those champs up off the mat.
Yeah.
Because like if they lose game 6, everyone's gonna bet on the Lightning.
Definitely. 2 games in a row, like they've proven that they can win in Colorado. You'd be crazy to bet against them. Yeah, and these guys are back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. Like you can't underestimate the value that is the value there for being a champion, right? You have the winning mentality, you have the drive, and you guys have a good coach that's leading the charge behind you, right? All the momentums, like even for next game, in my opinion, the momentum's with the Lightning as well. I put the Lightning.
I do think Tampa wins game 6. Like obviously this is just a random prediction, but I just think like the home advantage there, like will definitely pull them through. And John Cooper plays the matchup game so well.
He did that well against the Lightning too. Or no, sorry, not the Lightning. He did that well against the Leafs as well. Yeah,
he does that well against everyone. He's a really good, coach to adapt to different matchups. I love his on ice game. I just hate everything he says off the ice.
His ability to manage the game, honestly, on and off the ice.
Yeah, it's impressive.
None.
Yeah, exactly.
He is an incredible coach. Like the Lightning are a great team, and so he has a good, like, stable to work with. But he is an incredible coach, and we have to also recognize like Braden Point hasn't played since. Like, I know he played a couple games in this final, but like not at what we expect Braden Point to be.
Yeah,
he hasn't played since Game 7 against the Leafs. Their first cup they won without Steven Stamkos, except for that one shift that he came on and scored a goal.
That was amazing.
What a story of all time.
Exactly.
Like it was only really last year that they had a full healthy lineup. Like they've been to do this, what they've done already through compressed seasons, through COVID, through short summers because of COVID, through uncertainty of losing Nikita Kucherov a whole season and then him coming back in the playoffs and kind of being garbage for the first 2 rounds. They are the most impressive team I've ever seen overall, like for a 3-year stretch in my life. And I know they're the first team to do this since the 1982 New York
83,
Islanders, or 82 or 83, whichever you count as the first 3, but the last 3. But they are just so impressive. So it makes sense that we're singing their praises, especially after they won tonight. But I still think Colorado overall is so much more sprightly. Like they just have so much more energy that I think they're going to take it in Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay, you think they're going to win in Game 6?
I do, because if they lose Game 6, Tampa Bay is going to win.
Yeah, they are going to come out pretty strong. That's true. And Colorado plays a game that I just love to watch.
Yes.
Just that the speed, the explosiveness, like just watching Makar split those 2D was like everything I love about hockey. Like it's just silky smooth. Every player is so silky smooth. And then they got the toughness, they got the grit, they've got the defensive ability. The only thing I don't like is their goaltending, but whatever, we've talked about that. But like I just love watching them. They're a fantastic team.
They are.
Yeah, all that has
Makar
to be done
alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's in like a league of his own, honestly. It seems like we're seeing like the emergence of a new generation of defensemen. We're gonna see more of these like two-way defensemen that are going to be leading the league by storm. Because
man, he's so strong too. Did you see him like destroy Palat?
He's defensively a monster.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he shut down Connor McDavid. He's the only guy who can skate with him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. I want you both to answer this, and I'll get to Robert to clip it when he gets back to work for us, because I know he's got today off. keeping in mind their contracts. So Makar has much more time left on his.
Mhm.
Would you trade 1-for-1 Austin Matthews for Cale Makar?
Oh fuck.
Oh, okay. This is a good one. Do you want me to go first?
It's whoever goes first. It's your choice.
Okay,
Okay.
you go first. I'm gonna think about this more.
Okay. Listen, there's the nostalgia factor where like I have my Austin Matthews jersey and like.
But you're
blah,
also
blah, blah.
factoring into account contracts.
Yes. And
Oh,
keep in mind, Makar makes what, $2.5 million less?
Yeah, and he makes 9.5, I think.
It makes a lot less.
Or is it
But-
just 9? I think it
I
is.
think it's just flat 9. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
check right
just
now
flat
for you
9.
guys.
He
So
makes
stall
less
for
than-
me while I check.
Okay. Well, okay. We got to think of it in two ways, right? As a Leafs fan, there's a different answer, and then as like an NHL GM, right?
If you were the
you gotta
Leafs
think
GM.
about the team, right?
If
Exactly.
So you guys want the full details?
Yes.
hit me with
Okay,
it.
so we'll factor in age as well. Matthews is 24. He makes 11.64 mil per year. 2 more years left in the contract. Cale Makar
No,
is
that's not
23,
enough.
makes $9 million a year, so $2.64 million less per year, and has 5 more years left.
Yeah, but
Dude.
Matthews just scored 60 goals. This is so hard.
This is hard, but okay. Personally, please don't come after me. I'm not.
Just gonna preface
Tread
that.
lightly.
Do not come after me. Listen, as a Leafs fan, if you're telling me what would I want to do as a Leafs fan, keep Matthews. I love my boy. He just scored 60. He was probably on
Yeah.
pace for 70 if he didn't get injured. My boy is amazing. I have his jersey. I'm a huge fan. Please don't kill me. But
Do you think
As-
that they can retain Matthews for a similar price?
see, but the thing is, they don't.
No.
If
No,
Cale
right?
Makar has-
Exactly, right?
yeah, and if Makar has 5 years of 9 mil, that's a lot. That's 3 mil extra on the table that you can put towards depth and whatnot. And he's only 23.
That's what I'm saying.
He's still peaking. We're still yet to see his peak and what he can get into or what he can become. I think he's already the best player on the Avs. If I was a GM, I would take Cale Makar.
Oh, you take Makar? Oh.
I would take him. I think it's hands down. It's the better option because we've seen
He's also younger.
Yeah, that too. But like also like defensively has been an issue for the Leafs, and like offensively we have no problem, right? We have a lot of listen. Our stars
Depth wise, we do have a problem, but
depth wise,
I get what you're
the
saying.
3 million factors into that. You can use that to bring another depth player, but in terms of like having intangible stars, we have the star power. Why not show up our
it'd be
defense for
hard to
5 more
not take
years?
Makar just because of the contracts. Like if I was just to do player versus player, I'm taking Matthews any day of the week, just because it's Matthews. Like he scored 60 goals. He is, in my opinion, the second best player in the league. Don't come at me. But considering
I'm saying he's the best
I think you do take Makar. He's the best defenseman in the league, in my opinion, and it's like longer contract, less money. Oh God! Why'd you have to hit us with that?
I'm
like-
evil.
You're making us betray our
yeah.
boy.
I know.
Too
Well,
late
I
for
think the
this.
thing you also have to consider is like, what's Matthews' next contract start at, right?
Exactly. Like it.
Oh,
It's probably
ridiculous
14?
amounts.
Yeah, it's at least 13.5 in my opinion. At least 13.5 because you're expecting a salary or cap increase as well.
Listen, we
the
were
next
expecting
few
that,
years.
and then COVID happened as well.
Yeah, but
like,
we're going up $1 million.
this whole
next year.
situation. Yeah, but still, like the whole situation with the cap for the Leafs would have been completely different if like COVID didn't happen and we got the salary increases that we were expecting.
I just
right?
pray that like because he got paid as an RFA, he has some loyalty towards us, and that he just accepts.
I wouldn't
the
bet
same
on it,
amount.
dude.
I wouldn't bet on it either. He just scored 60 goals. Are you kidding me?
2
All
more
right,
60
Andrew.
goal seasons, and
But I
you're
think-
looking
but I
at
do
15,
think-
16 million.
I do think something that will be ingrained in the Leafs players' mentality here is the value in taking less in terms of your team.
But
you
everyone
know,
knew that, and it, like
Everyone knew that, but
look at McDavid. He took less, and what's that netted him?
yeah, but it's Edmonton.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. Like Toronto, really,
They- Edmonton went to the conference
They've
final.
been so shit because
Yeah.
of their GMs.
Toronto's done worse, like historically.
Yeah, okay. I agree, but at the same time, like when we're looking at teams like the Avs, when you have McKinnon at what is he, 6.25 or something like that? And I know he didn't take necessarily a discount at the time.
Yeah, he had a terrible year, right?
Yeah. Do you think?
Did you broke out that same year?
Did you think he was like that was a steal when he signed it, Andrew?
Yeah, because the term, right?
Yeah,
and
that's the
I think everyone had already seen what McKinnon could do.
Yeah,
like I think that was after his first playoff performance, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" And then he had that real off year, and people were like, "Oh, maybe it was a flash in the pan." But I think when you look at the underlying metrics, you could see how good he was going to be. Maybe not quite at the level that he's been now, but I don't know. Even if he wasn't a Hart Trophy candidate, right? Like, I'm a big fan of signing players out of their ELC who are that you're very confident are going to be stars to as long a term contract as you possibly can to get them locked up at as low a term of money as you possibly can.
Yep.
Just because having seen it from like the perspective of the Montreal Canadiens, right? I watched as the Canadiens put PK Subban into a bridge contract, and then he walked in and immediately won the Norris Trophy. I was like, oh, great idea, guys.
Yep.
You're
screwed now.
At that time, and nobody ever wants to talk about it, he was negotiating a contract before the new CBA came in that limited contract term. And he was offering the Canadiens a contract, or his agent was, where they were looking at like a 15-year like career deal.
Yeah,
that averaged out to like $4.5 to $5 million a year.
Oh wow!
Which
just imagine if he got that.
Yeah, his career has fallen off drastically in the last little bit here, right? So like maybe in the end it would have been a bad deal, but for through his prime, having the flexibility to have him for half of what he was actually paid.
But you also do run into like the situation where you could get like a Parise or a Suter or something like that, you know?
Keith.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Listen, I like at 4.5, like it's a no-brainer though. Like you can
for PK Subban. Yeah, like obviously,
well, you can just keep it on your like you can take the hit. It's not.
That's
not
the worst part about like the Matthews contract. Like the number for me is what it is. Like whatever. Like he's obviously playing at $11.5 million of value.
Yeah, he's playing even if we could have got $25 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't care about the number. It's the term that got me. Like we paid him so much for an RFA, and then we just couldn't get that extra year or two or something like that. You know. Drive him right to UFA. But anyways,
listen, you gotta like as a fan, you want to see them take more term or take a discount or whatnot. But these players, they're only playing for like 15 years, 20 years or whatever. Like they let them get paid.
Elite players are only playing for that. Like, most players don't even last that long. But like
exactly. But like let them get paid. They're only.
No, I'm fully for getting paid. But I'm saying like as a Leafs fan, what I kind of hope is that the players see is like you see McKinnon go to the finals and potentially win a cup soon. At 6.5, you see like Stammer, who took like I guess 8 mil. Was it 8 or 10? No, it's 10 mil. 10 mil for 8 years or whatever.
And then Crosby as well.
Kucherov and blah blah blah. You see Point, for example, taking less. You see these guys taking less money to go far. And I'm kind of hoping that 5 straight playoff losses or first round losses instills this like sort of mentality in them where they're like, I got played. The organization did right by me by paying me, you know, right out the gate. I don't know. I know it's just wishful thinking at this point, but it's all I have.
Hey, okay. So then, Andrew, so you have no, I guess, like affiliation with the Leafs or whatnot, right? You're not the. So what do you think, as an outside perspective, where you're not tied down to the emotions with like seeing Matthews leave or whatnot? What would you do
between Makar and Matthews?
And Matthews,
I think as much as I love Makar and the contract is definitely easier to live with than Austin Matthews, you just don't find an Austin Matthews anywhere. And not that I'm saying that it's easy to find Cale Makar, but he was a 4th overall pick, not a 1st overall pick for a reason, right? There's less certainty around defensemen, and overall defensemen just have less impact on the game than centers do. I make the gamble that with the TNT deal and debts getting paid off through COVID, that monkeypox doesn't go crazy. And a couple of years from now, the cap goes up like crazy and you can afford to pay Matthews, just because I look at his frame, his ability to score, and his defensive prowess. And I think Austin Matthews, through an 8-year contract, is going to give you that value all 8 years, even if you sign him for like league max.
Yeah.
And
the question is if you can sign him.
That of course, right? But I think Matthews wants to stay in Toronto. This is the feeling
certainly
that I
hope
get.
so. I get that feeling too.
But also, like, when have we ever
think
seen
it's
another
much
like
of a
Cale
question.
McCarr, right? Like we see Victor Hedman's a great offensive defenseman, but I feel like we haven't seen him since. We haven't seen a player like him for a while. And Gretzky had a quote.
Carlson.
Yeah, Carlson was a good comparable.
But Gretzky, I think this was in the middle of the series, might have been at the beginning of the series. I can't remember exactly when, but Gretzky came out and said that the closest player we've ever seen offensively and defensively that can make an impact on the game that much, probably Bobby Orr.
Yeah, but Gretzky also voted Kopitar for the Selkie, and Kopitar wasn't even their best defensive center this year. That was Phil Deneau. So
yeah, that is true.
Take what Wayne Gretzky says with a grain of salt.
Best opinions. Let's be real.
He's the greatest hockey player, not the greatest hockey analyst.
Yeah,
he has a point though. In my opinion, like
no.
Cale McCarr is a crazy, like, we haven't seen a two-way player as great as Cale McCarr.
Yeah, but think about the last time someone scored 60 goals.
Yeah,
in a Stanley Cup era.
It's happened 3 times.
Stamkos,
Ovechkin, and they're both cup winners with pretty much Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they'll both be in the Hall of Fame 100%. Yeah, so will Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is the greatest American player of all time.
Yeah,
he's the greatest pure goal scorer since Ovechkin. Like, he has a chance to score more than Ovechkin. We're getting away from the actual game here, so we'll wrap it on Leafs thoughts here. But I think Austin Matthews is such a complete player overall that it's just hard to put a value on that, even against an elite, like, league-breaking defenseman like Cale McCarr. I feel like the gap between McCarr and the next grouping of great defensemen is less than the gap between, like, Matthews, McDavid, and the next center.
I agree with that. Maybe I was too much of a non-homer there. You swung me. I'm going back to Matthews.
We never left.
yeah, ignore that. Don't clip it, Robert.
Yeah, but I guess, like, do we have any final thoughts going into game 6, or good to go?
I guess there's a question here. Somebody probably had tuned in the whole time. Can Tampa Bay force a game 7? Let's all go around the table there, and then we'll end it on that.
Sure. I guess I can start. I think definitely. Tampa Bay, in my opinion, has the advantage going into game 6. Like we were saying, this is a home. They're playing at home. They're playing in Tampa, right? And they also have the momentum now off of this last win. I believe that they can eke out a win in game 6. And hey, if they do eke out a win in game 6, put your money on Tampa in game 7. I think the next game kind of decides the entire series. So if you're a player on either team, perform. We looked at McKinnon, like we were saying, like he's making plays and he's being a playmaker, but now's your time to perform. Now's the time for everyone to perform. Kemper don't have a bad game. So let's see how it goes.
I wonder what the actual statistics are from teams that force a game 7 from being down 3-1 and then winning it. Because I want to know how that actually affects it. Because you rarely see 3-1 comebacks, but I have a feeling quite a few have reached game 7s and then failed. So I would be curious there. But game 6, I do think Tampa does win. Again, I think the home advantage there. I think they play very well at home. I think Colorado will definitely come in with like a fire in them, but I think Vazzy's just too good. I think Vazzy's going to have a great game.
Yeah, I mean, if Kemper doesn't have a great game, it's over. But I think Nathan McKinnon is going to take over the next game. He is there. 20 shots in 3 games. Like,
yeah,
he's so close, right? I think he's going to end it for them. He's just been such a great playoff player his entire career. I think that's the game where he makes the big impact and doesn't score off of like a shot off his skate. I think McKinnon is going to win it for them tomorrow. Maybe McCarr will help out a little bit too. Or not tomorrow, sorry. On Sunday.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the Colorado Avalanche just have more in the tank at this point, and that's what's going to drive them
that is
over the edge.
Well, they haven't played as many games as Tampa has in the past 3 years. That's for sure.
All we know is it's going to be a great game anyways, and it's going to be exciting regardless of what happens. Like, at this point, I'm just here to enjoy the elite of the elite hockey players. Like, our hockey teams go at each other. This is amazing.
No disrespect to Montreal, Andrew, but this finals series is primo.
Yeah, it's not even close to the same.
Yeah.
One team hanging on for dear life last year. I mean, I respect what the Canadians were able to do last year because it was very clear that there was a bunch of guys in that roster who threw every possible thing that they had left in their career into it. Like we saw that Price missed almost this whole year.
Yeah.
Weber killed himself to get there,
Literally.
right? And he played great.
Yeah.
But it just hits different to have two elite teams in the final. It does. There's no way to get around it. Cinderella stories are fun, but this is more fun.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great series so far.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it here for us. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Game Over. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on as well. This has been a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys on Sunday after Game 6. Will Tampa be able to pull it back, make it even grounds for Game 7, or will Colorado win their third Stanley Cup, the first one since 2001 when Sakic won as well. So Sakic carried the team twice on his back.
Maybe three times.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a fun series. We'll catch you guys on Sunday. See you guys from